Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today is 22nd of March and I welcome you all to Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. In this particular session, we shall be taking entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We'll pick up articles strictly from exam point of view, we'll understand their background, way forward, and also you will get detailed synoptic notes of this entire session, and these notes are available on our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. You can visit Telegram and can download these notes. Now in these notes we have ensured that we follow the pattern of UPSC, and every article you'll find that it has been provided in crisp points. For example, context, main body, way forward. Fine. So this is a typical pattern that we have followed. You can download these entire notes from Telegram. Now, before starting this particular session, let's take a brief overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are relevant in the newspaper today. So here we have a Delhi edition of Hindu, and on first page we see MEIL 5 donated 584 crore to BJP. It is a top donation to any party. Now from past few days, every day there are a lot of articles that are coming in newspaper with respect to electoral bond scheme. So we have seen already that electoral bond scheme was held invalid by Supreme Court because according to Supreme Court, anonymous donations are obstructing the right to know, which is a fundamental right under Article 19. Also, it has been provided that in order to ensure transparent elections, political funding should be provided to people. However, electoral bonds were bringing a kind of an opaqueness, so electoral bond scheme has been held invalid, and now State Bank of India has to provide all data to Election Commission that who donated how much money to which political party, and these exposures are now being made. I will not advise you to go in this particular article too much in detail. Every day tracking this is not needed for your examination. So please don't waste the time. However, here on side we have this article, Ponmudy case, CJI wraps Tamil Nadu Governor. So in the context of federal issue, we are going to see this particular context, what has happened specifically from constitution point of view. ED arrest Kejriwal in excise policy case. So it is alleged that there is corruption that has happened, and in this context it has happened. However, a lot of political opinions have come in this particular direction. Fine, then moving, we have this advertisement, and in city section we largely have the regional issues, advertisements, law and order issues, political news, etc. We don't have much relevant aspects here, so we'll directly be skipping this particular section and we'll reach to editorial page. Till editorial we don't have any academic exam related article. Today is World Water Day, 22nd of March. So because of World Water Day, there are a lot of articles that are there in Hindu newspaper today, and we'll discuss all this issue in both mains as well as prelims orientation. Okay, water an instrument to build world peace. We'll take this particular article. Fine. Then below article, navigating the global waterscape, its challenges. This article also we are going to see. Now here side article, guys, just a couple of days back we have discussed the MIRV capability. So MIRV capability we have discussed. Fine. Now MIRV stands for multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle. So Agni 5 missile, it has been inducted with MIRV capability by which a missile can engage multiple targets and it becomes very difficult to be tracked by the enemies. So Agni 5 has been made MIRV capable, which is a big achievement for India. Fine. We discussed it also 2 days back in lot more detail. Three is a crowd. DMK alliance has gained strength, but the opposition is split. Political article, no need to go too much in detail here. Then here we have this article, should judges accept official post after retirement? So with respect to exam, pros, cons, fine, we are going to see this particular article. This entire article we have restructured specifically for exam, and only the arguments in favor and arguments against. So this restructuring we have done, and we'll see this entire issue. Then further moving, here we have an article, how water insecurity affects women. This article also we are going to see. Then on next page we have this article, nuclear energy fixing the finance. We'll see this article also for exam. Why did Pakistan carry out airstrikes in Afghanistan? Okay, so recently we have seen that Pakistani fighters, they carried out airstrikes in Afghan province of Paktika and Khost. Okay, and in these particular airstrikes, we also see that 8 civilians were killed. Fine. Okay, moving on. Then echoes of Arakis, fine, nothing much important has been given in this particular article. Then companies under EDIT scanner donated poll bonds to BJP, Congress, such things have been there. Okay, nothing much important is again given for exam. So largely political opinions are there. So we'll move on, and here we have an article, Supreme Court stays government notification on establishing fact check unit. We'll take this article, panel to study scope of altering power lines in bustard habitat. We'll see this particular article also for examination. Then below we have article here, Ministry of Environment tightens rule on bioplastics. We'll take this article also for examination. Fine, thankful to 13,000 crore but need more, Kerala tells Supreme Court. Okay, then on business page, guys, March flash PMI signals a sharp rise in output. Now understand this thing, that every month on month inflation, PMI, export data, etc., you actually are not really required to see for your exam point of view, because by the time you will be writing the exam, these numbers will change. So I'll not advise you to unnecessarily sweat on these datas. However, you need to know the state of Indian economy for that particular thing. Articles, if are there, they are important, and those things from time to time are very well provided in editorials as well as in the text and context articles that do come. Then further moving on, guys, corporate trends, etc. India screwed up how US lobbied to reverse laptop rules. So if you remember, couple of months back in August, India brought the rules that the importers of laptops, they need to take a license. But then after a few weeks back, it was rolled. Why it was rolled back? It is because of the US lobbied, because it would have impact on US's economy, because India imports a lot of laptops from Apple, Dell, etc. Then world page, US calls for immediate ceasefire as Gaza war ravages. Okay, so guys, here we see that even the USA's point of view is now changing. USA, which earlier has given unconditional support to Israel, is now changing its viewpoint, and it is also saying that it is if enough. Now Israel should stop it, but Israel is not giving any heed to this thing. Sri Lanka may secure moratorium on IMF on debt owned to India. Okay, so basically, guys, when we talk about the Sri Lanka, so we have seen this particular thing in the past, that Sri Lanka faced economic crisis, particularly after the COVID pandemic, when when tourism in Sri Lanka got impacted. Also, as Sri Lanka tried to turn completely organic in farming, it also had a negative impact. And since then, Sri Lanka faced economic crisis, and for that, IMF bailout is being given to Sri Lanka. Okay, in which India has supported the Sri Lankas. Okay, then we have sports page. Okay, and this is overview of newspaper. Now let's discuss all these relevant articles which are important for our examination one by one in detail. Okay, so let's get started with the discussion. Now first, in every class we start with the GS quotation, or these quotations can also be useful for your essay, fine, and answer writing. So let's take the quotation for today. So today we are going to take quote from Martin Luther King Jr. So Martin Luther King Jr. says, the function of education, therefore, is to teach not to think intensively and to think critically, but education that stops with the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically, but education that stops with efficiency may prove the greatest menace to society. The most dangerous criminal may be the man gifted with reason but with no morals. So, what the quotation emphasizes? Quotation emphasizes that education needs to be equipped, needs to be accompanied with moral learning also. Education can teach you certain skill sets. Education can teach you certain vocations. Education can empower you, can make you more efficient. But if education just stops there, and if education does not makes you wise in terms of morals, then that education is not useful. That education will become a menace. That education will become a trouble for the society. Because if a person has been made more efficient, if a person has been made more capable, and he doesn't knows that what are the restrictions of his power, fine, then that man can be the most dangerous one. And we have seen in the history that the people who were the most evil were not dumb people. These people were actually geniuses. Okay, but they use that genius, they use that knowledge for destructive purpose. Why? Because that genius was not accompanied with morals and ethics. So education needs to make you efficient, needs to make you proficient, but at the same time, education needs to equip you with morals. Only that education is something which will make a society a good place to live. So this quotation can be used for GS paper number 4 ethics. GS paper number 4 ethics, integrity and aptitude. Now moving on, and let's discuss first article. Ponmudy case, CJI wraps Tamil Nadu governor. Now before going in this particular article, this article, it is just talking about the recent development. We'll discuss this entire issue with background. Okay, so let's get started with the background. So guys, so uh, so here you can see we have the photograph of K. Ponmudy. He was a minister under the DMK government, and he was charged that he has collected disproportionate wealth. He collected disproportionate wealth when he served as the minister for mines and minerals in the DMK government in 2006 to 2011. So the charges of corruption was imposed on K. Ponmudy, fine, who was the minister. Now, guys, what happened? The case reached to Madras High Court. Case reached to Madras High Court, and Madras High Court declared that he is to be given a jail sentence of 3 years, along with a fine of 50 lakh rupees. Along with a fine of 50 lakh rupees. Okay. Now, when he was given this 3-year jail term by Madras High Court for the corruption, what happened? Section 8 of Representation of People Act 1951 got triggered. Section 8 of Representation of People Act 1951 got triggered. Now understand this particular thing, guys. When we talk about the Constitution of India, Constitution does not contain a detailed provision with respect to conduct of elections in India. And for conduct of elections in India, to govern the matters related to election, what has happened? We have devised two of the acts, that is Representation of People Act 1950. We have come out with the two acts, that is Representation of People Act 1950 and Representation of People Act 1951. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about Representation of People Act 1951. Under this particular act, there is a section 8. Now, section 8, what it provides? Section 8, what it provides? So section 8 provides this particular thing, that a person convicted of an offense and sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 2 years shall be disqualified from the date of conviction and shall continue to be disqualified, will stay disqualified for a period of 6 years since his release. So suppose today a minister, a person is convicted for any crime for which the jail is a 2-year plus, then he will be disqualified from his position. Okay, now what happened? We see in the case, minister got a jail of 3 years. So section 8 applied on him, and what happened? He stood disqualified. He stood disqualified. Okay, he stood disqualified. Now, guys, what happened? What happened? As he got disqualified, very logically, he cannot stay as a minister. Now, what happened? He approached Supreme Court. He went to Supreme Court. Now, when he approached the Supreme Court, what Supreme Court did? Supreme Court stayed the conviction and the sentence. Now, understand this thing, that final decision was not given by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that meanwhile we are staying your conviction and sentence, okay, till the time final decision will come. Now what happened? The grant of this particular stay means that his conviction is put in abeyance. Okay, he is not convicted. So right now section 8 will not apply on him. So if he wants, he can continue to be minister. If he wants, he will still be the member of the house. Right now the section 8 will not apply. This is the effective meaning of Supreme Court's staying this particular step. Okay, this has happened. Now guys, what happened after this? Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, he wrote a letter to the governor and asked governor to swear Mr. Ponmudy as a minister, and he should be given the portfolio of higher education. So chief minister wanted that he should again be made as a minister, because right now the sentence has been put on hold. Okay, conviction is put on hold. Now what happened right now at this point of a time? Governor, governor refused, governor refused to reappoint him as minister. Governor said that right now only the pause have been imposed on his sentence and conviction. Final decision has not been given. And he said that according to me, this is an example of moral turpitude. This is an example that your ethics are not that stronger, and I will don't believe that you should hold the position of minister. And governor refused to appoint him as a minister. Governor refused to appoint him as a minister. He said that it goes against constitutional morality. It goes against constitutional morality. Now, guys, basically, why this particular thing is happening? Now, this issue comes from a deeper point, and this point is that it has been seen in last few years that states which are ruled by the other political parties than the center, there always is a cat fight going on between those states and the center, and governor has played a partisan role. It has been alleged by these states that governor acts as the agent of the center, and unnecessarily governor is meddling in the day-to-day affairs. Now, governor, it is largely a ceremonial position, as per by these chief ministers, such as the states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, etc. They say governor's position is ceremonial. You should not obstruct in day-to-day manner. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that we have Article 164, subclause 1 of the Constitution. Now, Article 164, what it reads? It reads that chief minister shall be appointed by governor, and the other minister shall be appointed by governor on the advice of the chief minister, at the same time, here it has been provided by multiple Supreme Court judgments that the power of governor flows from the aid and advice of the council of minister. If chief minister has said X, then governor should do this. If chief minister has said that K. Ponmudy should be appointed as minister, governor does not has any discretion to appoint or not to appoint. He has to follow that particular advice in toto. Article 164 says, but he is not doing this. He is not doing this, giving the examples such as this. Now what happened? They again went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has have clearly gave an instruction to Tamil Nadu governor that why you are defying the Supreme Court order, why you are not re-indicting him if the chief minister has advised. It has been said that though as we have suspended the conviction right now, he cannot be continued to be disqualified. He has to be re-inducted if the chief minister is advising, and court has gave governor 1 day's time, overnight time, to set the constitutional positions right. Now, understand this particular thing. If you go in the nitty-gritties of this particular aspect, there are two dimensions that open. One dimension that opens up here is ethical. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Gandhiji, in his theory of 7 social sin, said that politics without principle is a sin. Okay, and according to Gandhiji, politicians should be the people who have morals par excellence. Okay, and in this capacity, even there is a slightest tinge of corruption on you, you should not hold the public office. This was the view of the Gandhiji. Now, governor of Tamil Nadu is also endorsing a similar view. But we need to understand that whether this particular view is really coming from some ethical underpinning, or this view is just being speculated as an excuse to meddle in the affairs of the, to interfere in the affairs of the Tamil Nadu government. Okay, now it looks that this example of violation of constitutional morality, it is just an excuse. It is just an excuse. Okay, so this is something that has come here. Fine. I hope, guys, that you have understood it. Okay, now moving on in next article. Okay, so we have this article here. Now, uh, so basically, guys, what has happened? World Water Day is observed on 22nd of March. 22nd of March, it observes World Water Day. World Water Day. Now, World Water Day is observed to make people aware about the water crisis, water challenges that the world is right now facing. and to sensitize people, to nudge people that it is high time that we need to ensure that water should be used as a crucial resource. Now, in this World Water Day, UN Water, UN Water plays the major role. UN Water plays the major role. Now, when we talk about the UN Water is an agency under the United Nations which tackles or which deals matters related to water and sanitation, and it converges the matters of sanitation and water under the 35 UN bodies. We'll discuss about UN Water a little bit more. Now, this particular theme of 2024 theme is water for peace. Water for peace. This is a theme for 2024 World Water Day, and it highlights that how water and crisis conflicts are related. Now, guys, it has even been said that if there will ever be the third world war, then that third world war will be for the water. Now, we see this particular thing, guys, that there are many there are many rivers which are shared by multiple countries. Often countries are fighting on the water. Okay, even we see that the China is going for the weaponization of water. What China is doing? China is developing the mega dams in the upper reaches of many rivers, including the Brahmaputra river, and that stored water can deliberately be used as a weapon to flood the countries who are in the downstream. So water becomes water, it becomes an issue around which a lot of conflicts can emerge. Fine. So water for peace is the theme this particular year. Now, what are the main issues that are discussed in this particular article? First issue is this, that there is a global water crisis that is right now going on in the world. And this global water crisis can be understood with certain facts. For example, when we talk about World Resources Institute report, World Resources Institute report, this report provides that 17 countries are facing high water stress. 17 countries are facing, sorry, extremely high water stress, and the water stress is so high that it can lead to conflict and unrest and violence amongst the people. When we talk about India, in India, water availability is low and India is categorized as water stressed. Now, what are the major areas which uses the maximum of water? So 72% of water withdrawals, fine, they are in agriculture sector. 16% of water withdrawal is for municipalities and households, and 12% of the water is used in industries. We are talking about the fresh water, fine, 72% agriculture, 16% municipalities, and 12% industries. These are the major users of water. Now, when we talk about, guys, water, particularly pressure on groundwater is huge. And if we take the data, then see, Punjab, Rajasthan, Delhi, Haryana, they are the one which utilize groundwater most. In Punjab, groundwater utilization, the ratio of groundwater consumption to availability is 172%. What does it mean? It means that more water is being drawn than the recharge that is happening. So net withdrawal is more, 172%, means 100 liters of water, it is getting added in the water table, but we are withdrawing 172 liters. So groundwater table is going down. So in Punjab, ratio of groundwater consumption to availability is 172%, Rajasthan 137%, Delhi 137%, Haryana 133%, which is a cause of concern. And if this trend will continue in the next few in the next few decades, there will be no water availability. Okay, and groundwater table will become alarming. So, what are the reasons for water crisis? Urbanization, industrialization, climate change which has impacted the rainfall patterns, inefficient water management in many areas. For example, when we talk about agriculture, we see this particular thing, that inefficient usage of irrigation, usage of water is happening. Also, we see that there are the distorted cropping patterns. For example, Haryana, Punjab, they are growing paddy. Now, paddy can be grown in the areas where minimum 100 centimeter rain is available. Now, Haryana, Punjab, they see the rainfall between 40 to 55 centimeter. Still, they're growing paddy. How? By drawing the water from ground. Okay, so this has exacerbated the water crisis. So, inefficient water usage, climate change, industrialization, urbanization, fine, all they are leading to these water challenges. Now, these data, guys, is very important. You can please use it in your answers. Now, government has come out some good initiatives. For example, per drop more crop, where government is focusing on efficient irrigation. Okay, गांव का पानी गांव में, खेत का पानी खेत में, हर मेद पर पेड़, प्रधानमंत्री कृषि सिंचाई योजना, मिशन अमृत सरोवर, in which the ponds, water bodies will be rejuvenated, Jal Shakti Abhiyan. Now, all these particular programs, what they emphasize? They emphasize on water conservation, rainwater harvesting, rejuvenation of water bodies, tanks, wetlands, recharge of bore wells, and other structures. Okay. Also, under these particular projects, capacity building of the local communities will also be done. Capacity building of local communities will also be done so that they can also help in the water conservation. Water conservation. Okay. This is something that is there. Now, what are way forward that is needed? How we further need to ensure that water availability is water availability does not come under crisis. Number one, we need to focus on rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting. Now, rainwater harvesting is a critical solution for enhancing water availability, but we don't have rainwater harvesting structures in panchayat as well as municipalities. So, urgent funds should be allocated for rainwater harvesting structures. Okay, then ensure efficient irrigation techniques. Now, guys, now when we talk about the irrigation, what is happening? Virtually, the field is flooded with water, which leads to a lot of excessive evaporation. Water is lost. Also, a lot of water is lost in the ground, which leads to the problem of salinization, etc. Also, rather than that, what is to be done? Drip irrigation, sprinklers are to be used in the fields. Moreover, guys, what we can do? We can use IoT, Internet of Things based automation tools. Now, what can be done? Guys, understand this thing that in order to provide water to a field, we need to understand that when actually water is required. So we can deploy sensors which can continuously monitor the soil humidity or soil moisture. And when the soil moisture goes below a particular level, only then these sprinklers automatically they will give water. At the moment that desirable moisture level in the soil reached, they will stop working. So by using the artificial intelligence, by using the sensors, okay, by using micro irrigation, sprinklers, etc., we can enhance the we can enhance the water efficiency in agriculture. Also, what we need to do? We need to focus on constant monitoring of groundwater. We need also focus on improving the water quality. Okay, fine. Fluoride, arsenic, these are the major contaminants in the water in India, which are leading to a lot of health crisis. So not only water availability needs to be there, but water quality also needs to be optimum. We need to price the water use. Now, particularly guys, when we talk about agriculture sector, in agriculture sector, water is most of the time a non-metered commodity. Means you can draw as much water you want without paying any money. This has led to some negative practices. Fine. So, pricing the water use, fine. Promoting efficient irrigation, fostering community participation in water conservation. Okay, so many indigenous communities, they have come out with many ingenious solutions. We need to prioritize them. Okay, and then using technology, water neutrality, adapting to climate change, fine. Understanding climate change better and impacts of climate change on agriculture and water availability needs to be there. So this is something, and at the end of the day, we need to have a holistic, multifaceted approach, fine, which takes everything in account. Government policy is one factor, environment is other factor, community engagement is other factor, efficiency is another factor. All these factors should be taken up together, and then water crisis issue should be resolved. So this is about this entire article. I hope guys that you have understood it. And now moving to next article. Navigating the global waterscape and its challenges. Now this article also we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2 social justice, as well as GS1 number 3 resources. Even in GS1, as it is dealing with the geographical resource of water, we can take it up. Again, the issue is on World Water Day. So guys, we have seen that March 22 is observed as World Water Day by the United Nations. Now there's also one more thing, guys, that on World Water Day, there is one high profile report that is also released, and that is United Nations World Water Development Report. United Nations World Water Development Report. Now this is a flagship report which is released on World Water Day. Now this year, United Nations World Water Development Report, fine, the major role has been played by UNESCO. Major role has been played by UNESCO. So under the World Water Assessment Program, fine, which is under the UN Water, UNESCO this year played an important role in development of United Nations World Water Development Report. Now, guys, I told you that this report, I told you that the theme this year is Water for Peace. So report also is a title on the similar line. So report is Water for Prosperity and Peace. Okay, and it is a part of UN Water. I already told you, UN Water, it is an interagency under United Nations, and it largely deals with the mechanisms on cooperation of water and sanitation. It coordinates with 35 UN entities and 48 international partners. It coordinates with UN as well as other international partners. Now, this particular report has highlighted certain important themes. It has highlighted certain important themes. And first, it is talking about that water. Historically, water has been linked with the peace as well as conflict. Peace as well as conflict. Water is equated with prosperity as well as wars. Now you see this thing, that the greatest civilization in the history which have been there, they arose around the rivers. Okay, water availability was an important contributor in determining the prosperity of a particular civilization. So, Indus civilization, Nile's Indus, Harappan civilization was around Indus. Fine. Then Nile, Tigris, Euphrates, all these particular rivers have harbored the civilization. Also, conflicts have arose if water was in scarcity. For example, there was a well documented dispute between Mesopotamian city of Lagash and Umma, and this dispute was because of the water share distribution. Today also we see that many of the states within India, they are having conflicts with each other because of water. Many countries, they have conflict with each other because of the water. So water can be a source of conflict as well as water can be the source of prosperity. This is very important and good link has been made in this particular report. Then next, it is saying that now challenges around water, they are getting exacerbated. Challenges around water, they are becoming even more worse. Why? Because of climate change, which has led to water insecurity. Okay, and climate change as water insecurity is there, it is impacting agriculture, it is impacting economy. Okay, and as agriculture economy is getting impacted, what is happening? Food insecurity is coming, hunger is coming, deprivation is coming, and that deprivation is driving frustration amongst the people, and that frustration can become the reason for social tension. Okay, this is something that is there. Now, particularly when we talk about India, we find that because of climate change, monsoon pattern is getting changed. Monsoons are becoming erratic. Now, when we talk about today, even today, 60% of agriculture is of rain-fed nature. Means they depend on rainfall for agricultural production. So uh, because of that, if the monsoons are becoming erratic, agriculture is getting impacted. Fine. Then water diplomacy. Water diplomacy. Now, water diplomacy. There is a need for inclusive and collaborative governance of water resources. Often we find that water resources becomes a source of tension between multiple states, between multiple countries. So these disputes are to be resolved through water diplomacy. And for the effective water diplomacy, collaboration and a multi-stakeholder approach is needed. Governments, civil societies, communities, all should be brought together, and they should discuss, they should debate that how water challenge can be resolved, how the water sharing arrangement can effectively be implemented. So, water diplomacy, there is a need of inclusive, collaborative governance of water resources, which should include communities, civil societies, academic networks, so that disputes can be prevented. Then urban rural divide is needed to be recorrected. Now we find this particular thing, guys, that even today in developing countries, majority of population lives in rural areas, but availability of water in rural area is substandard. We see this particular thing that either there is lack of basic water, drinking water is not there in the rural areas, sanitation is not there. Fine. So it focuses on targeted investment that are needed in developing water infrastructure in rural areas first of all. Fine. Now, what is way forward? What solution can be proposed? Number one, number one, improve rural water access. Investment is to be done into the rural water infrastructure. So tanks are to be developed, irrigation networks are to be developed, piped drinking water infrastructure should be developed in rural areas so that the water availability can be increased. Now, already we are running Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission. Under Jal Jeevan Mission by 2024, functional household tap connection will be given to every household and which will provide at least 55 liter of water per person. So this is one scheme which is good and it should be implemented in spirit, and adequate financing should be given. Now, if water availability in the rural areas will improve, it will enhance the health, because many of the disease such as diarrhea etc., which are because of the consumption of poor water, it can be resolved. Fine, it can help in education. Now, how it, if water availability is there, it will help in education. Understand this thing. We see that water collection is a gendered activity. If water is not available in the nearby in your home, what is to be done? Women have to go to fetch the water, and when women are doing this activity, they are not able to get educated. So, if water availability will be there, then education, particularly in the women, will be improved. It will improve the employment outcomes. Okay, as water stress is not there, people need not to spend a lot of energy in collecting the water, they can meaningfully gain in employment. So basically in rural areas, providing the water will solve multiple challenges at once. Then utilize AI in agriculture, artificial intelligence in agriculture. We have seen this particular thing, that how by using the AI, water efficiency can be improved. Okay. Then transboundary water governance, transboundary water governance. Now, according to UNESCO, there are 153 water sharing countries. There are 153 countries which have a common water resource which is shared. Either there is a river that is shared by them, or a lake is shared by two countries. Okay, so there are 153 countries which have a 153 water sharing countries are there, and out of that there are only 24 which have reached a complete cooperation agreement. Fine. So here we see that so many countries have not reached a water cooperation agreement, and because of that, water disputes might emerge. Now, this particular data is taken from UNESCO Progress Report on Sustainable Development Goal 6.5.2. So 6.5.2 SDG goal, it talks about progress on transboundary water cooperation, and this progress is not good. Fine. So here we need to focus upon. The next is supporting global peace and SDGs, supporting global peace and SDGs. So understand this particular thing, that if transboundary cooperation of water is implemented, if water efficiency is enhanced, if water conservation is done, it will help in achieving the other goals around health, food, energy security. So therefore, therefore ensuring that water is a resource is utilized properly, it will assist in reaching the other SDG goals also. Fine. So this is something that is there in this particular capacity. I hope, guys, that you have understood with this particular article. And now let's move to next article, but before that, we'll take mains questions around these particular articles. So let's discuss the mains question, and then we'll go to next article. Okay. So we have this article, assess the significance of World Water Day and its theme, Water for Peace, in raising awareness about the importance of fresh water resource and their impact on global peace and security. Okay, this will be a 10 marker question for GS paper number 2. 10 marker question on GS paper number 2. You can take the screenshot, or you can note down, or you can pause the video and can then note down this particular question and try attempting it. Fine, try attempting it. Then moving to next article. And as we'll do the article, I'll give you the question one by one and you can attempt them. Okay. How water insecurity affects women. How water insecurity affects women. So guys, as today's World Water Day, so many articles are there in this particular line, and I will advise you to make notes of these particular articles, because once you have made the notes of these particular articles, then any question comes on this particular theme, you need not to recollect the content. Okay. Now, this particular article specifically is making a linkages between water availability and the condition of women. So therefore, even in GS paper number 1, women related issues, we can use this article, and GS paper number 2, social justice, vulnerable section of society, there also we can use this particular article. So GS1 as well as GS2, both we can use this article. Now, okay. First of all, some data is needed. According to National Sample Survey, 78th round, just a minute. Yes. According to National Sample Survey, 78th round multiple indicator survey, or simply you can write according to NSS data. According to NSS data, 41% of rural households lack access to safely managed drinking water. 41% households don't have any access to the safe drinking water. This number is huge. And when 41% households don't have access of safe, clean drinking water, it becomes the women's responsibility to fetch the water. Okay, so it is a gendered activity, and women and the girls, they have to go and fetch water, and they have to go from 200 meters to 1.5, sometimes even till 5 kilometers to fetch water. Now what happens because of this water insecurity? Women's, they become more vulnerable. It impacts their social relationships. First of all, what happens? uh, uh, their school attendance declines, because if women have to fetch water, young girls also need to do that thing, and as they are going to fetch water, they cannot go to school, their school attendance declines, their academic performance declines, and also what it leads to, also it leads to the gender based violence during commute when they're going to collect the water. Often because these places are isolated, fine, they face a lot of sexual violence, physical violence. Okay, this is the concern. Now, because of this, what happens? Their mental health also gets impacted. Their mental health also gets impacted. Now, guys, water and sanitation are two things which are linked. Water and sanitation. If water availability is there, sanitation standards are also good. But because water availability is not there, sanitation goes down and it leads to a lot of health impacts. For example, prevalence of diarrhea increases, the typhoid increases, cholera increases, particularly for women. Women, they face all these things, but at the same time, they also faces the concerns on the menstrual health. Fine, women, they have to practice open defecation, and this becomes a psychosocial stress for the women. So the absence of water impacts all, but it impacts women even more. It impacts women even more. Now, already I discussed that we have come out with the Jal Jeevan Mission, which aims to provide the functional household tap connection by 2024 and will at least provide 55 liter of water to every person every day. Now, this Jal Jeevan Mission, we find this particular thing that it will reduce the drudgery of women. It will reduce the burden of the women, and also Jal Jeevan Mission, as the women will be free from collecting this water, they will be able to participate in political institution. And under Jal Jeevan Mission, it seeks to measure the participation of women, fine, in panchayats, in the gram sabhas. It tries to measure the participation of women in community management, fine, gram panchayat, group activities, etc. Also under Jal Jeevan Mission, Pani Samitis will be developed. Pani Samitis will be developed, in which there will be the women participation, and these Pani Samitis will take up planning, implementation, operation, maintenance, monitoring of water infrastructure at village levels. So here also women will be given important position. Also under Jal Jeevan Mission, at least 5 women from every village, they are to be trained in periodic water quality monitoring. 5 women are to be trained so that they can ensure the maintenance of the water infrastructure that is there. So All these are the important things under the Jal Jeevan mission. Also, it has been seen, that women women performed well on economic empowerment indicators if they have spent less time on water collection. They have better mental health. So therefore, making water availability is not just an imperative of it's not just important for social justice. It is important for social justice, but also it is important for women's well-being. Okay, it is not only a policy matter, it is also a matter of gender empowerment. So this is about this article, and now let's move to next article. Okay, nuclear energy fixing the finance. So this particular article is from text and context section. This particular article is from text and context section. Okay, so here we have this article, nuclear energy fixing the finance. So this article we are going to now discuss here. Now this article we are going to see for GS paper number 3, infrastructure and issues related to energy. Issues related to energy. Now, first of all, an important aspect with respect to the prelims examination is that recently nuclear energy summit was held in Brussels, and this nuclear energy summit, fine, this is the first ever nuclear energy summit that was held, and this particular summit, it is an initiative of IAEA. IAEA stands for International Atomic Energy Association. Under International Atomic Energy Association, they run Atoms for Net Zero program. Atoms for Net Zero program, and under this Atoms for Net Zero program, this nuclear energy summit is there. What is Atoms for Net Zero? It emphasizes on utilizing nuclear energy, nuclear power to achieve the carbon neutrality. To achieve the carbon neutrality. Okay. Now, when we talk about the nuclear power, it emits 4 times less carbon than the solar farms. We are not talking about the coal powered thermal power plants. We are talking about the solar farms. Even 4 times less carbon than the solar farms is emitted. Okay, and it is also less polluting than the wind, hydropower, and geothermal. So therefore, nuclear energy is a promising source of electricity if we are looking for a clean future. Now, when we talk about the nuclear energy, importance of nuclear energy has also been emphasized in the recent United Nations Climate Change Conference COP28 that was held in Dubai in 2023. And here what has happened? Basically, a declaration signed by the 22 countries, fine, and they are mentioning and they are emphasizing on tripling up the nuclear energy capacity by 2050. So under COP28, a declaration was signed by 22 countries to triple nuclear energy capacity by 2050. Okay, but at the same time, we face that there is actually challenge. What is the challenge? Challenge is this: nuclear energy's importance is being emphasized. It is even cleaner than the solar farms, wind energy, geothermal energy. But institutions, financing institutions, multilateral developmental banks, they are not ready to finance the nuclear power plants because there is a lot of stigma, there is a lot of fear factor that is there with respect to the disposal of nuclear waste, all such things. Fine. Now, when we talk about, guys, even the World Bank has not provided any financing for a nuclear project since 1959. In 1959, it provided $40 million loan to Italy for nuclear power, but after 1959, they have not provided any financing to the nuclear power. So point is that how the nuclear power will be leveraged if we don't fund the nuclear energy. Okay. Now, we find that there are certain cooperative funding models which have been developed in many countries such as France, South Korea, Russia. Now, what are these financing models? So here, a group of investors, they raise credit from the market, and this credit is raised for investing into the nuclear power plant. They raise credit from the market and take full responsibility for the project delivery, and in this manner, nuclear projects are being deployed. And in Finland, they have invested huge in the nuclear plants by the private companies. So private companies since 1970, they are using this cooperative finance model, which is called as Mancala. Okay. So what is this cooperative financing model? A group of investors, they will come together, they will raise money, and they themselves will take responsibility of delivering the project. Okay, and in this particular model, they are focusing. But until and unless multilateral institutions, uh, developmental institutions such as World Bank, etc., they will not finance, money that is needed for deployment of nuclear energy will not come. Okay, we see this particular thing, that number of nuclear reactors is increasing globally. Okay, and there's a lot of growth potential, particularly in Asia. But cost overruns, high upfront cost. Okay, it is the one which is a deterrent. It is a deterrent. Now, when we talk about India, guys, we find that in the context of India also, we are focusing on expansion of the nuclear energy. But still, there is a stigma. Still, there is a high upfront cost that remains a big challenge, and these things are needed to be resolved immediately. Now, what can be way forward? What can be the solutions? Way ahead is this. Number one, we need to reassess nuclear financing policies. Multi-developmental banks such as the World Bank, they should get rid of the fear factor that is there in their mind, and they should they should fund the nuclear power projects. We can also replicate the models of cooperating funding that we have seen in the context of France, Finland, South Korea. Okay, encourage financial creativity and marketing support with low interest rates. Okay, so we need to come out with the new models of financing for them. Government needs to provide them support. Government needs to provide the support. And in the context of India, India should continue to liberalize the nuclear industry so that more private players can come and can invest in nuclear energy. We have seen that in the solar, in thermal, lot of private players such as Reliance, they have come. But nuclear energy, it is still not liberalized. So liberalization of nuclear energy should also be considered. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. Now let's again discuss mains questions that we have in this capacity, and then we'll come back to article. Okay, so this article, it is from the impact of water crisis on women. Discuss the multifaceted impact of water scarcity on women, particularly in rural communities, and propose measures to alleviate their disproportionate burden. Okay. Again, GS paper number 2, 10 marker question. Fine. Then this is challenge. This article question is on nuclear energy. How can the financial challenges, hindering the widespread adoption of nuclear energy be addressed, particularly in the light of its potential role in combating climate change? So again, the question is framed on the basis of the article on nuclear energy that we have just discussed. Now moving back to our article's discussion. Okay. Okay. Now the next article that we are going to discuss is, should judges accept official post after retirement? Should judges accept official post after retirement? Now this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 4 ethics, GS paper number 4 ethics, as well as GS paper number 2 issues related to judiciary. GS4 ethics and GS2 issues related to judiciary. So basically, guys, what has happened recently? Recently, a judge at Calcutta High Court announced that he is joining a political party. He is joining a political party. Now, as he joined the political party, there is a debate that got opened, and this debate is something like this: that many people say that the people who are holding the constitutional offices, such as a judge, they should not do these kind of things. They should not do these kind of things because it goes against the constitutional proprietariness. A lot of speculations, a lot of challenges will open up, and we are going to discuss them. On another hand, it is said that if constitution, if has not imposed any bar, has not imposed any restriction, then why you are saying that they should not do this or they should not do that? Okay, so let's discuss this particular thing. Fine. Now, what we have done, we have divided this particular article in two parts: arguments against judges accepting official post after retirement are arguments in favor. So number one argument against. So it says that basically concerns are raised against the impact on judicial independence. Now see this particular thing. We follow the model of integrated and independent judiciary. So see this particular thing, that if a judge has a thing in the mind that after retirement I need to join the politics, after retirement I will be contesting for elections under XYZ political party's ticket, what will happen uh, before the retirement? He might give certain judgments which are favoring a particular political party. So he can favor a particular political party. Fine. This is something that can happen. This is something that can happen. Then public perception. There is a golden rule of justice. Justice should not be done, but it should be seen that justice is done. Justice should not be done, but it is seen that justice is being done. So public perception is very important. Public perception is very important. So what will happen? Now public perception of judicial impartiality might be compromised. Then it is also provided that there's a need for judicial reforms. There's a need for judicial reforms. Okay, now see this particular thing. That we need to see if the rule is not there, which is restricting the judges from holding the political office. Now we should bring that particular rule. There's a call for judicial reforms to establish clear guidelines and what is expected from the judges. Fine. Then arguments in favor. First argument is that their expertise can be utilized. Often we find this particular thing that there is a judicial expertise, judicial knowledge, okay, or the knowledge of constitution, knowledge of law that is needed in policy making. So if judges will join the politics and if they will come in the power, that particular knowledge can be used for the constructive use. Okay. Then see, one suggestion of cooling off period is given. Means that for at least 2-3 years, judges should not join a political party. After that, they should do. Right now, that cooling off period is not there. Right now, there is no restriction. So what is the problem? They should join the political party. Okay. Now, we need to focus on alternative solution. We need to focus on alternative solution. What is alternative solution? Number one is bring the cooling off period. 2 to 3 years, judges should not be allowed to take any position. They should not even be allowed to join the political party. Second is revisiting the retirement age. Increase the retirement age so that constructively they can give more years in the occupation in which they are earlier working. Bring transparency in appointment, bring transparency in judicial conduct so that it can be ensured, that while they were in their office, they are not favoring any political party. And alternative career paths should be there. Alternative career paths should be there for the judges so that they can explore them. If you don't want them to join the political party, some other alternative career path should be there. So this is something that has been provided, and there is a huge significance of judicial independence which we cannot compromise at any cost. Fine. That is all about it. And now moving to the next article. Okay. Supreme Court stays government notification on establishing fact-checking unit, FCU, fact-checking unit. So basically guys, what is the case? If you remember, yesterday also we have discussed this particular article. Okay. Yesterday also we discussed this particular article. So actually what happened? Let me give you the background. So step number one. Government came out with IT rules 2021. IT rules 2021. And under these IT rules 2021, there was rule 3 subclause 1 subclause B subclause 5, or simply rule 3. Rule 3. Now this rule 3 of IT rules 2021 empowers the central government to appoint a fact-checking unit. And this fact-checking unit will be responsible in declaring the fake news if it is fake. Okay, in dispelling the fake news. Today we see that a lot of misinformation, disinformation, propaganda is prevailing on social media. And that fake news often drive rumors, it often drives anxiety in the people. So in order to tame, in order to dispel this fake news, a fact checking unit will be established as per rule 3 of IT rules 2021, and central government will appoint it. Now what happened? Central government notified PIB, Press Information Bureau, as the fact checking unit. Because of this particular matter, what happened? Some of the activists and comedian Kunal Kamra, they approached Bombay High Court. Saying that government is trying to become the sole arbiter of truth. Okay, they say that often there is a lot of news. These news, they are delivered by the independent media, and often the news might not be in interest of a political party or in the interest of the ruling government. So there should be an independent party, there should be an independent mechanism which should declare a news as a fake news. Okay. Now, if a news is against the government, and if government authority is declaring a news as a fake or true, then they can say that this news is a fake news. This news is a fake news. Recently, what happened? Al Jazeera ran an article saying CAA is anti-Muslim. No, that is their opinion. That is their opinion. Opinions actually are never subjected to be right or wrong. Opinions are just opinion. But actually, what happened? Fact checking unit said that this is a fake news. Okay, so such things can happen. Anything against the government will be called as fake if you make PIB as the body. So they moved against the Bombay High Court. Bombay High Court ordered the government that you will not notify a fact checking unit. Government did not did that. Fine. Recently, what happened? Recently, basically the time for which government was not allowed to notify fact checking unit, it got expired, and Bombay High Court did not extended that moratorium. Fine. And the government did notified the fact checking unit. Now Supreme Court has directed that no, you cannot notify the fact checking unit until and unless final order of Bombay High Court comes. So up till now, Bombay High Court's final order has not come, and Supreme Court had stayed the government's notification of establishing this fact checking unit. Fine, it has stayed this fact checking unit. Now bench said that implementation of notification would be stayed until a Bombay High Court gives a final judgment. Okay, so this is something. Now, under IT rules 2021, social media platforms, they will lose their immunity if they don't take down the news which have been called as a fake news. Okay, if they don't. Fine. This is something that has happened. Now, fact checking unit, it is run by 3 joint director rank officers of the Indian Information Service. Okay, and it is under PIB. Moving on. Panel to study scope of altering power lines in bustard habitat. So this article is also taken from Hindu newspaper. Now guys, this particular article concerns the Great Indian Bustard. First of all, let's understand about the Great Indian Bustard for our prelims examination. So Great Indian Bustard, it is the state bird of Rajasthan, and it is considered as India's most critically endangered bird. It is critically endangered. It has very less population, and this particular bird's population, largest population is in Rajasthan, some areas of Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh. Now, its population is confined to Rajasthan, Gujarat, fine, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh is also there. Now, this bird is under constant threat. Why? Because it gets collided with the power transmission lines. Now, see this thing. These Great Indian bustards, they have a poor frontal vision. Because of that, often they are not able to see the electricity lines or electricity wires. They get electrocuted in them and they die. Some of them, they don't know about the bad intentions of Pakistan. They fly to Pakistan. There they are hunted by the people there, and by that also their population is going down. So because of power transmission line, habitat loss, and all, and because of their hunting which is prevalent in Pakistan, their population is declining. Okay, now when we talk about the IUCN status, they are critically endangered. According to Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species Sites, it is in Appendix 1, means their trade is not allowed. On Convention of Migratory Species, they are Appendix 1, highest protection. And under Wildlife Protection Act 1972 also, their Schedule 1, means the highest protection is given to Great Indian Bustard. Now you see this thing. Rajasthan, Great Indian Bustard population is there. Rajasthan, we are deploying solar power, and transferring this solar power from one place to other place is also needed. And for that, electricity lines are to be deployed. Now, you keep on deploying solar power and keep on erecting the transmission infrastructure, don't bother about GIVs, Great Indian Bustard. This is one approach. Other approach is that you abandon the power projects in Rajasthan so that Great Indian Bustard population doesn't get disturbed. These are two alternatives, but both of the alternatives have their problem. If we will not focus on deploying the solar energy in Rajasthan, we cannot meet our climate goals of enhancing renewable energy share. But if at the same time we don't bother about the GIBs, Great Indian Bustards, then their population will decline. So what is to be done? And for this particular thing, Supreme Court is constituting an expert committee to balance the conservation as well as and protection of Great Indian Bustard, as well as to ensure that we are promoting the renewable energy. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now this panel will contain the experts and they will look at how to balance this both. When their report will come, we'll see that. But as of now, the report has not been there. The next article that we have. Okay, one question, guys. Sorry, we forgot to take about the judges article. So judges article question is there. Evaluate the ethical implication of judges accepting official post after retirement, considering factors such as judicial independence, public perception, and potential conflict of interest. Okay. Now we have this article. Ministry of Environment tightens rules on bioplastics. Now this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, environment and conservation. Environment and conservation. So guys, recently what has happened? Environment Ministry, they have recently modified. India's plastic waste management rules. India's plastic waste management rules 2024 has been modified. Indian plastic waste management rules have been brought. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Often what happens, certain type of plastics, they are branded as bioplastics. And they are also branded as biodegradable plastics. Okay. Now, under these plastic waste management rules, it has been provided that only that kind of plastic can be called as biodegradable that does not leave any microplastic behind. What is microplastics? Microplastics are tiny fragments of plastics, very, very small, which enter the ecosystem, which enters the water body. Even the microplastics are being found in our blood today. Okay, there was a report. So microplastics are very tiny fragments of plastics which are becoming today a very big nuisance for environment. Okay, so what has happened? It has been said that biodegradable plastics will be those plastics only which don't leave any microplastics behind. Okay, now understand this thing. When we talk about biodegradable plastics is there, and there is a compostable plastics that are there. These are two technological fixes that are being promoted. Now understand, plastic waste, it has increased. Plastic waste has become a very big challenge. Fine. Now when we talk about biodegradable plastics, what they are? They involve plastic goods being treated before they are sold. Compostable plastics are the plastics that do degrade but require industrial or large municipal waste management facilities to do that. So biodegradable and compostable plastics are being today promoted as a solution to deal with the problem of plastic waste. But you cannot brand any plastic as bioplastic if it leaves the microplastic behind. So this is something that has been provided here. Okay. So this is guys all about it. And with this, we come to an end to the today's session. I hope guys that you have liked the video and you can see the hard work that it takes every day to prepare these notes, including the content, research, designing. And I will expect that if you're liking this initiative, you will share it with your friends and will comment and will like the video. Thank you so much. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.